Hey Nintendo fans and collectors, this is Lithium017 from my channel Nintendo Collecting 101 with collecting tip number 28 called Expand Your Gaming Horizons. In this one, I'm going to talk about a few ways that you can actually collect more games for other consoles that you may not even own, and also how to collect import games or games from other regions and how to play them on some Nintendo consoles anyways. On the Super Nintendo, you can get a Super Game Boy player, which will allow you to play Game Boy games. Not Game Boy Advance games, but original Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games. So now I can play the Pokemon games and the Zelda games and a lot of other games. My fiance has some of them, so I can definitely pick up some of hers and borrow them and play them on a big TV. I do have a Game Boy since then, but originally I didn't, so that kind of expanded my horizon for playing some Game Boy games, even though I didn't pick up the console. On the GameCube, there's the Game Boy Player, which plugs onto the bottom of your console. I'll just show you what it looks like in case you've never seen one. That bottom thing there is what that's what it is. That's it. Plugs onto the bottom. You insert the game into the slot right there, and to take it out, you just have to pull that little flap. The game comes out. There's a disc that comes with it. Make sure you get the disc. The packaging for Japan and Europe was in a box, and normally the packaging for North America was in this blister sealed pack. So again, make sure you get the disc with that. But that allows me to play Game Boy Advance games like Mario Kart, Super Circuit, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, and Metroid Fusion, a lot of other great games I can now play. Even though I don't really have a Game Boy Advance, but I do have a Nintendo DS. What about playing games that are import games? The Zelda games here I just show so that you can kind of get an idea of what games I can play on the Game Boy Advance player and the Super Nintendo, the Super Game Boy. But for the N64, there's a very, very simple mod you can do to your console if you buy a Japanese console, because it doesn't really play North American games. If you look in the flap of this, you can look this up online, and hopefully I'll post a link. There's a flap that's plastic right here on the sides that prevents games from going in. An N64 game has a certain, let's call it a footprint when it goes down into the game. So I think on the Japanese ones it actually prevents it. So if you cut that plastic off, you can then have your console playing all games. It's a soft mod, meaning you're not actually modding anything computer inside. You can also just buy a universal game adapter such as this one, which will allow you to play games from international like Japan. And this is another one I have as well. I don't know why I have two, they just came in bundles that I got. So that will allow me to play some of these Japanese N64 games, even though I already have Pokemon Snap and Star Fox. If I had other games, I could play them. Super Mario 64, if you weren't aware, there is like an 8-second shorter loading screen. So a lot of the times when people are trying to time trial that game, they play it in Japanese because it's a shorter game. Just something interesting and something to keep note of if you are doing a time trial, and some people actually do get better world records on other imports. Then on the GameCube, there's something called a freeloader disc. And these are really hard to find and they're pretty expensive, but if you're really desperate, you can pick up one of these to play games from other regions on your Nintendo GameCube. And it's a disc that you put in, and then following the boot of the disc, it asks you to load your other disc, and then you put that in, and then you can play games from other consoles, well, the same console, but other regions of the world. So that's some ways to expand your horizons. If you collect for other consoles, definitely do some research and try and check it out so that you might be able to save money and not actually buy a whole new console. Or you might not even be able to plug in the cords because it's from another country. Hopefully this is useful information. Have a great day, and I'll bring you another collecting tip in roughly a week.